I think social media is basically kind of like my resume as a builder because it shows what I can actually do, especially on the high caliber of taking it to SEMA and being able to be in the industry and talk with other businesswomen and other leaders in the industry.
Welcome to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast, where we dive into the high-octane world of market-leading shop owners, shop employees, and automotive enthusiasts from the aftermarket, restoration, performance, and racing industries. So strap in as we take you on an awesome journey with our guests as they share their real-life stories, lessons learned, business advice, and unfiltered insights to help you beat the school of hard knocks. Gearheads and Gasoline, fueling your success.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barry Alt with Motorhead Digital. My co-host is Annette Bauer with Annette Bauer Creative. We're excited to welcome Chloe Yonker, the owner of CC Custom, to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast.
Woo-hoo. Well, welcome, Chloe. We're super excited to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're stoked.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, I have been a big follower of yours for a very long time, since I had my dually, which was quite a while ago now. I got rid of my dually a little bit more over a year ago, so I'm in the process of doing a different build now. And as such, like, just following your journey, not only what you do with builds, but just how you're so good within the automotive space. So I'm really excited to have you on the podcast. I'm really excited for you to share with our audience how you got into it and all those good things. But before we jump into all those things, we're going to start our podcast off with a very customary out of the box question. And that is, what is your favorite drink?
Oh gosh. Like alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
You can pick anything.
Well, alcoholic is mojitos. I love mojitos. Non-alcoholic is probably, we have like these flavored waters out here. I think they're called ices or something like that.
Yeah, we have
but I really like those. Those are probably my go-to if I don't need caffeine.
Right.
So
Right.
Caffeine's just like in my bloodstream at this point, so I don't consider it like a drink.
It's a necessity of life.
Oh yeah, it's like water. You gotta have both, or I'm not functioning.
I imagine so, with as much as you're working on, and I see you're doing stuff on, just what you share on social media. So I'm quite certain that you're very full of lots of things going on.
Oh yeah, it's like 3 full-time jobs. It's so fun.
No kidding.
Well, yeah, our producer's not here today, but his favorite drink's a mojito as well. He's a big
Oh,
mojito.
nice. So, I like it.
I didn't know that.
They're so refreshing. It's so good.
You're like, and delicious.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to slamming some of those in Mexico for sure.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk about what has inspired you to pursue a career in the automotive industry. As I'd mentioned, you do lots of builds, truck builds to be specific, at CC Customs, but that isn't where you started, right? You started out in a different format in the automotive space. So can you bring us up to date as to how you got started?
So I started working at a Peterbilt dealership, and my start actually wasn't in the shop either. I was actually hired on to be a management intern, and I yeah, I don't like being technically behind the desk, which is so funny, actually running your own business now. Like 90% of your time is behind a desk.
Oh yeah.
It's different when you're working for yourself. But anyways, so I was hired on as a management intern, and I didn't like the whole slow pace being in sales. So then they switched me over to service and to like help with the service advisors and kind of get my feet wet in the door there. And I love that. I love that it was fast paced, but I really wanted something that was working with my hands. And I had only ever worked on my own truck. And so I didn't really have any like technical education, I guess, as far as like working on stuff goes. It's just more or less been self-taught or looking at something and figuring out how to fix it, because broke college kid, you got to do that. So that's just how my whole like start was. Like I didn't grow up in the shop with my dad. My dad didn't do his own oil changes or nothing like that. So
Okay.
I didn't get it from him. He's a financial advisor and I do all the work on his vehicle. But I didn't grow up with it, so I didn't get into it until a lot later because it wasn't until college. And so it's one thing I always try to really show people is like, hey, you can never start too late because I mean, I was in college when I started working on stuff and I would have never guessed where I am today. I mean, I am definitely jealous of those who grew up with the dad in the garage and the whole thing. Because, man, I wish I had that. But now it's cool because now it's almost flipped where now I get to be in my shop with my dad helping me with wraps. So it's just funny how life works. But yeah, everything started at a Peterbilt dealership. So I worked on big rigs and I loved it. It took a long time for me to convince my service manager to be able to let me even be in the shop. And so after like bugging him and bugging him, he's like, okay, we'll try you for 2 weeks because you won't shut up and leave
And
me
stop
alone.
bothering me.
Yes.
Okay, right?
Exactly. So after the 2 weeks turned into 3.5 years, and then I ended up leaving, and now I have my own shop. So
I
that's
love
kind of
it.
like how it all started.
That is so cool. I know that, like, so Barry, to kind of give you a little bit of backstory, honestly, like, there's been numerous times when, like, I'll just go, like, okay, what's Chloe doing? I need to see what she's working on. So I'll go to her page, and I learned so much by just watching some of the videos that she puts out about different things that she's fixing or changing or whatever on her truck or a customer's truck or whatever. But it's super cool to see a female in such a male dominated space, like, be very knowledgeable, be able to share that and articulate it well so that other females who have a little less or a lot less experience can understand what you're doing. I love that you kind of break it down so that everybody can understand, and you're using the terms that people who've been in this industry for a really long time obviously, know what those terms are, but you also explain it for people who are learning so that they can figure out, like, oh, okay, I know what that part is and what it's supposed to do or how it's supposed to. So I super love that. Thank you.
So Chloe, you said, you're jealous of people that, because you didn't have a dad that worked on cars, right? My dad worked on his cars, and did you go, is any of your schooling for, the space of working in that niche, auto mechanics, things like that, diesel tech, or did you just learn as you go working in the shop there?
So I don't actually have any like formal certification for diesel mechanics, actually. Everything I've learned has been on the job training, which I was like a sponge and bugged the crap out of my mentors. I'm one that's like, okay, don't just show me how to do it. I want to know why. Because that's where you get the knowledge base
Right.
from. Is if you can understand why and how it works, then that way you can diagnose it, fix it, and so on. And how certain systems relate and coexist with each other to be able to make an engine run. So all that stuff I learned on the job. And then from there, after this was, I guess, last year. I'm one that's a sucker for education, especially with stuff that I can get my hands on, like in job, like what hands-on training. So I looked at my local community college and they had some diesel classes. And I was like, you know what? I never actually went to diesel school. Let's go see what it's about just because. And so I took a diesel engines 2 class, ended up loving the professor because she's also a woman. So
Oh,
that
nice.
was really cool too. And so now I have her kind of on like speed dial whenever I'm working on stuff and like, hey, uh, what do you think of this? Because I tried this, but she's the one that taught me how to blueprint engines and do like full rebuilds and stuff like that that
Really?
I
Well,
never
that's cool.
got a chance to do at the dealership. So
That's so
you
cool.
gotta keep learning, even though you think you might know some things, you don't know anything, honestly. So I
But
kind of went backwards and went back to school later.
well, that's important to continue your education, right? And getting a teacher that is going to dig into stuff deeper than just regular service type work, right? I took auto services in high school for 2 years, and we had a teacher that says we are not parts replacers. We diagnose the problem, we figure it out. If we can repair the part, right, take it apart and fix it instead of just replacing out a part, right? We do that, right? So understanding how everything works together is pretty cool. I want to ask you, this is, what inspired you to go off on your own? That's a scary deal, especially, especially women have it harder, and that knows that. We talk about it a lot, getting in this industry. So tell us about that.
So now that side of my dad, I definitely got because he's an entrepreneur. So I kind of just sat down with him and worked through finances and just kind of brainstormed, okay, what is my bottom line that I have to make to survive?
Yeah.
And kind of go from there. And so being that they have owned, my mom and my dad have owned their business for like the last 30 plus years, I had a really good support system in that of the entrepreneurship side. But the main income driven is social media. And so having that really kind of be able to float basically the shop until the shop can start generating income was a really big deal. So when I say I was working like full-time jobs, I'm definitely not lying because full-time media is a full-time job.
Oh,
And then you have
man.
the shop. And then at that time, I was also traveling to shows and stuff too. So trying to do like the mix of all of it was kind of difficult, and of course, this all happened in 2020, which no one knew what was going on in 2020. So we were all just kind of thrown to the wolves and praying we got through it. So it worked out in the end, but in the midst of it, it was kind of scary. But now it's like I would never go back kind of thing.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, you brought up like the social media part of it. So, right, that's a really big part of building a brand, building your brand, and kind of making that switch from, hey, I'm going to have a steady paycheck at somebody else's responsibility. I just have to show up and do my part, to I'm going to take this all on myself. So, what role has marketing, specifically, like you said, like the digital marketing, social media element, played in your brand's identity and success?
So I think social media is basically kind of like my resume as a builder because it shows what I can actually do, especially on the high caliber of taking it to SEMA and being able to be in the industry and talk with other businesswomen and other leaders in the industry and really just kind of like put my own name, like plain as day out there kind of a thing, and be able to showcase what I can do on essentially the world's platform because social media is worldwide.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me how I'll have people from Mexico and come up to me at SEMA and in Spanish. And I'm like, okay, I have no idea what you just said. But it's like, that's like so crazy to me is like, even with a language barrier, they can still watch and consume my media and kind of understand what's going on because we all have the same shared passion of anything with an engine. I love that is kind of really cool that you don't have to just speak English to know what's going on. Essentially, you can just watch it, So that's really cool, and I love that.
Have you gotten directly from people just seeing you on social media and calling you up and contacting you or messaging you and said, hey, we saw you do this. Can you help us with our stuff?
Absolutely. All the time. I think probably 80% of my rap vinyl quotes come from Snapchat.
Really?
Snapchat, really?
Of all places.
I'm surprised.
It's insane. I don't know why, but it is. So I'm like, dang, that's a whole other random like platform that you would never really think of.
Right.
But yeah, like 80% of my vinyl quotes that I get are on Snapchat. And I don't know if it's because I just post like daily updates of everything I do on that platform. And right now I'm doing a rap. So of course that's like a lot of the main focus. Yeah. Whereas I have noticed that depending on what I'm posting generates the most inquiries based on that. Like for instance, when I did the big 15-inch lift kit. Now I know a lot of people aren't looking for a 15-inch lift kit in their life, but for those that are, they saw that I can do that. So now that's another thing added to like the toolbox, essentially. So
Right.
being able to showcase what you can do is just another way of showing, hey, I can do this for others, basically.
Yeah, trust me, if I live closer to you, I would 100% be like, Chloe, I need you to do some stuff for me. Girl, let's work together because
I think someone
I'm
just
in.
got a bed full of stuff, or I saw a whole bunch of stuff going in the bed of your truck the other day. Is
Yeah,
that for your lift?
I just took my lift and my wheels to our powder coater up here day before yesterday. So hopefully I'll should have those back in about a week or two, and then I can start getting to the next level of my build.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't do. I don't do powder coating yet, but that's because the startup equipment is so expensive.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's a very labor intensive process, right? It's not like it's just, hey, I mean, it's like having a paint booth, right? Like paint booths are very labor intensive as well. That's one of the things that I talk about all the time. I know Barry also is a big proponent of this, is that in order for you to have success and gain success, you have to make investments in your business, right? You have to make investments in yourself. If you're not willing to do that, you can't expect others to make an investment in you. Right.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And starting out and stuff, even businesses that have been around a while, they find really good partners for things like that, for powder coating and other paint services. Powder coating and paint booths, you have EPA requirements, environmental stuff that actually adds to the cost as well, right? But as you grow your business, we've seen it, they bring it in-house, right? It comes to a point where, look, it's just going to be more efficient for us to bring it in-house. And also, you don't want to go do something too soon and put all that investment and find out, we're going to go in another direction, and you have all this equipment you're not going to use, right? So we've seen that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like this close to buying an oven on Facebook Marketplace just to do small stuff because I know how I am, especially because, like you said, in-house, where you're like, oh, I need this done like right now. I am a person that is like, I'm doing it right now. I'll put that in the microwave if I have to. Like, it's
okay, I gotta see that.
That's awesome. I love it.
People at home do not do that. Metal parts in microwaves.
Right. Not recommended.
But there's a lot of shops, performance shops and stuff, but they're investing in 3D printing and things like that.
Oh,
so they can 3D print stuff and test it out before they actually build the part, right?
That's so smart. Huge. Yeah. I follow, I don't know if y'all follow Brad DeBerti, but I met him at SEMA, I think it was 2 years ago, but I have followed him for a long time, and I love how cutting edge stuff that he kind of does. And I saw that when he was building his Lincoln, he made the whole body kit out of cardboard. And I was like, see, I would have never thought to like try to play out what you're trying to build with cardboard. So just little things like that. Like you had said, the 3D printing, that is a huge cost-effective way. I mean, if you buy a 3D printer, obviously that's the biggest cost, but that's cheaper than going out and machining all these parts that you're trying to figure out if they work or not. So on the fabrication side, I'm just amazed by people and their brains of how they just look at something and like, okay, we need to make it like this to make it work. And I'm just
we had a fabricator on last week, Kyle Kunhausen, and he does a lot of stuff in cardboard first, 3D printing, and he sends it out, or AutoCAD, things like that, but he sends it to a company called Sun Cut Send, and they take what he's envisioned, but he envisions it first, right? And then moves it over to the computer and then sends it off and gets it back and, fabricates it and everything. A lot of fabricators are doing things like that.
I mean, that's part of it, right? Like that's part of the game of being in this industry, not only from like a perspective of where you come, Chloe, where you're like, hey, I'm actually doing tangible work. I'm putting my hands on, trucks or builds or whatever it might be, wraps, whatnot. And even those that are in the creative side where we're building content, which you're also doing, but like we don't actually put our hands on automotive stuff in some cases, right? So in those two realms, it's super important for all of us to be able to tap into other creatives and other builders, fabricators, people within this space to help inspire us and give us ideas and push us to the next level of like, hey, we can, do this. And I never thought that you could build something something by like kind of mocking it up in cardboard first. But just like you said, wow, I mean, that's super helpful and super cost effective.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Some
We do
si-
that a lot
some
with
some of those
brackets.
things are. Go ahead.
I was just saying we do that a lot with brackets. We're on really small parts, but you start small to be able to do big. So
That's it.
I'll
There's
take.
other guys using wood, right? They're using
Oh
wood to mock up stuff first before they transfer that to metal or other materials, right? But I understand you had a truck or a vehicle at SEMA.
She's had lots of trucks at SEMA.
Have you?
Yeah. Yeah, we've had quite a few. We've been going there as a shop and as a builder since 21.
Okay.
So the first one we did was a Jeep Gladiator, and that was my fiance's Jeep. And if you are not a Jeep fan, such as myself at first, stock gladiators. Ugh. I was so happy to finally be able to build that because
I don't blame you. I've
Thanks.
driven a stock one, and it is a poor excuse for a vehicle, in my opinion.
The second we put 42-inch boggers on it, then I changed my tune. But until then, it was like, woof, this thing is so wimpy looking. So
Yeah, I'm a Jeep fan too, but my wife's
nice.
not. So
Yeah.
every time I'm at SEMA, I take I gravitate to a lot of the Jeeps that are outside and things like that. And I had a friend of mine that just bought a Jeep, and I'm jealous. So
I love the Jeeps, but they have to be built. I think
oh yeah,
there's just
absolutely.
stock Jeeps that are just so weird looking to me. Like they've got to be built because that's what gives them like the meat and the substance,
What gives
I'm a
them
meat and
character?
potatoes kind of girl. Give me some tread on them tires, guys. I can't deal. I can't do the donuts. No, meat and potatoes. That is my jam. So I am a
love it.
bloggers girl for sure.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
The last build that she did, Barry, I don't know if you saw it, was this super cool, like camo, like pink, gray, white camo wrapped. It was just so beautiful and so cool and so big. I was like, I want my truck to look like that.
Was it at SEMA?
Yes. So
I'm
it
sure I
was
have a picture.
Yeah,
Where
it was
was
at SEMA. It was at SEMA and the TIS Wheels booth. And the owner's actually my college roommate.
Really?
So she's my best friend. We met in college, and she lives in Tennessee now, but she used to live here in Texas with me. But I took her to Lone Star Throwdown, which is a show in like just north of Houston. And her first show, I think, was in I think probably 21 or 19, something. It was a couple years ago. But anyways, I took her to that show. She saw a lifted Chevy that was on an 18-inch lift kit and instantly was like, I want that truck. And I was like, I can build you that truck.
She's like, what? Wait, what?
But the way my finances are, no, I'm just kidding. But for real, later on down the line, she ended up trading in her old truck to a 2024 GMC Denali. So she bought that truck, and I was like, okay, hear me out. If you want to take this to SEMA, this is your year to do it because that's a brand spanking new truck. You're going to get the best bang for your buck with a new truck like that. Yeah. Because having that newest model, all of the manufacturers are rolling out with their new products for that model. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, dude, if you want to do it, we got to do it now. And she's like, say less, it's finally time. And I'm like, I hope your bank account is ready because I'm ready. So let's just go. And so it was really cool to be able to bring her alongside as well and teach her a lot of stuff as well. She had never wrapped anything before, and or just used power tools before to be fair. So
Yeah.
trying to teach her how to like do stuff on her own vehicle and completely gut her entire interior and everything else in the exterior. It was a lot more in depth than what most people do with their vehicle, but
Right.
you get a sense of what it's all about, especially when you're taking off plastic pieces and figuring and knowing that, okay, this $100,000 vehicle is just a bunch of plastic
Right.
held together with clips. That is terrifying. But
Did she freak out when you started pulling
oh
apart
yeah,
a
Does
brand new
it?
vehicle?
it was awesome, especially because it's that like morbid sound of it like popping off, and you're like, please tell me that didn't crack. But it's a lot of that. So you're just like, okay. But I showed her how to use the tools, like the trim tools,
Right.
pop everything out, and then I label everything
Yes.
because it's so much easier and faster when you're going back together with something about a month or two later. Just grab the little baggie. Okay, that's for that part, instead of trying to remember or figure out where it went. So
100%.
a
I,
little time
I
in the
was watching.
beginning, a lot of time.
Yeah, I'm tearing about my Corvette, my '69 Corvette now, and I bag and tag everything and do an interior and a radio and stuff like that. But I saw a YouTube video the other day, and I didn't have the numbers exactly right, I'm sure, but back in the '60s there was like 10,000 parts that went into a car. Now it's like 30.
Easily. I can definitely understand that.
Yeah, I will say
Especially
like,
all of the trim pieces.
yeah, like I have this like heart palpitation because my husband helps me, and I have this heart palpitation of every time he's like, we got this, we can take it apart, and I'm like because like he's a mechanic for a living, like that's what he does, and he's actually the one who taught me how to do a lot of the different things that I work on purpose built race cars, as well as learning how to do the things on my truck. So like I got to really learn when I did my dually, and now going into this one, like I got rid of my dually because I couldn't make my dually, well I could, but it's also my daily driver, so I had to be practical. Is I couldn't make my dually as big as I wanted it to, so I bought a single rear wheel, and I was like, okay, now I can make it bigger, within my budget, of course. But my husband teaches me all of these things, and 100% what you said is like every time he was like, I'll just take it apart, I'm like
I can take anything apart. It's the putting it back together. Sometimes it's like, I don't remember where this goes. That's always the scary part.
Well, we just recently, so like we took the ball joint out of my upper control arm, and when he was like helping me with it, it bent, and I looked at him and he was like, I'll replace it.
Gosh.
Yeah, thanks for breaking my brand new truck.
Exactly.
Chloe, how did being at SEMA multiple years, how'd that impact your business and things like that?
The first year I think was really kind of like the I made it kind of feeling in year, because that was when I was able to actually prove that what I was saying was happening. So that opened a lot of doors, especially for manufacturers and brands in the industry. There were a couple when I had first started that didn't really believe in me, I guess, as a woman. And so I take that to heart very much. And I remember that very much so. And so I'm very loyal to the brands and companies that have stood behind me since day one. TIS Wheels got us out of the jam when our wheel sponsor didn't come through the first year, and our wheels were sitting on a ship somewhere in the middle of the ocean. So
Right.
TIS was able to get us wheels, get us to SEMA, and we have been with them ever since.
I love it.
Another one is Hammerhead Armor. That's our bumper sponsor. They're made in America. That's another big one that I love. I love that family-owned kind of started businesses like Skyjacker. I just love how the American dream in the automotive industry, but then they also, I guess, believe in me from the get-go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are the ones that I really appreciate and try to reciprocate the love and attention to them as well. Being that that was kind of the year that spearheaded it. After that, we did a Jeep Wrangler for my dad because he saw me build the Gladiator for my fiance and was like, wow, I want something cool now too. So I was like,
The financial
okay,
guys
Dad.
getting in the vehicles, huh?
Right?
Yeah. And that's what started it all. And so then I built them a Jeep Wrangler. It went to SEMA in 22. We took a single cab dually, a Ram TRX, and then that same Wrangler with a different wrap and in 23. And then last year we took that 24 GMC Sierra. So every year is kind of growing. Will I ever do 3 builds again for SEMA by myself? Probably not. Because that was
That's a
not
lot.
a fun time. It's not a fun time. But
You're like, sleep was non-existent.
oh, yes.
I can't imagine. That's just insane because, one year we spoke at SEMA two different sessions back to back, and just getting ready for that, it was insane. I can't imagine doing 3 builds and just all the logistics of that.
It was rough.
Just the like, for lack of a better term, right? The man hours and doing it. Like, it's one thing for you to do the plan out and be like, okay, we know that ideally this is what this is going to look like, what the theme is, or, what parts we need. But it's the physicality of actually getting that stuff done is just yikes.
Hey guys, Jason here with AMD, and you're watching the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. Check this out.
It's not just the done. The hard part about SEMA is I start planning in January.
Yeah.
And we start the logistical process in first quarter because we have to. There's no way around it. I'm only one person.
Right.
So between build managing and connecting to all of the sponsors or whatever, sourcing all the parts. And then, so not only am I doing the administrative side, but then I turn around and actually have to do the labor and build it too.
Yeah.
So when we finally get parts rolling, the other side of it is a lot of things you don't want to do over twice. So for instance, lighting and stuff, it's easier to do when the vehicle's already torn apart. You don't want to tear everything apart, put it all back together. But for instance, on the GMC, I was not about to do a headliner and all of the interior upholstery when it's lifted 15 inches in the air. That's just that's not okay. So there are
she did real quick. So Barry, she did a and I know I'm not going to use the right term here, but like the whole headliner had like little twinkle stars in it. Like it looks so cool, but it's so time consuming.
I saw a video of somebody doing that. I'm like, holy cow, that's a lot of work.
Yes. Yeah, I think I don't know what the total is. I think it's like 46 to 50 hours in the headliner alone.
Oh my gosh.
That's between taking it out, because you got to pull the windshield, you got to pull everything out of the interior anyway, which I was doing upholstery and all the seats anyway, so everything was stripped out. Yeah. But you got to remove the windshield, pull the headliner, and then we reupholstered it in this glitter, like black glitter fabric. And so that's another one. Everyone does suede. I wanted to do something different. And I'm like, hey, I know she'd be down because she's a girly girl. She wants a whole pink truck. Let's just give her all the girly stuff she could possibly get. So we did a glitter fabric, reupholstered that, and then we did 1,500 starlights with the shooting stars in the headliner and the sunshade for the sunroof.
Oh my gosh. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about, we talk about kind of some, challenges that we face in business, but that is magnified as a female in the industry. So let's talk a little bit about overcoming some adversity and those, like hard knock kind of moments where you have to overcome something. As a woman in the industry, how do you feel you've kind of like leaped over that or gotten through that, or has marketing helped you get through that? Like, what has been your catalyst?
I had mentioned when I first started out, there were some companies that they only saw me as a model, quote unquote. And so I think that's actually truly what fueled my fire, because the second anyone tells me no, I just want it that much more just to prove a point. That's just how I am. That's like the stubborn side of me. That's the whole reason I'm a mechanic. Like, let's be real, because if I hadn't done that with my service manager and prove a point, then I might not be where I am today. It's kind of like, okay, don't tell me I can't do something because I'm a prove you wrong and make you look stupid doing it. So this is how I feel, and this is what I'm going to show y'all. And so being able to find the ones that would take a chance on me, that was a huge deal for me. Don't get me wrong, it's rough just being a female online on any social media platform, because you have all of the keyboard warriors and the gearheads, the shade tree gearheads who, you're doing that wrong. Okay, sure. Especially with like something so simple as a brake job, there's like 20 different ways you could do it. And so in their way or the highway. So it's a lot of that. But in the business sense, it's just, you just kind of have to not let it get to you, which is really cliche to say, but it is what it is as well. And there have been times where I'm down on myself because I'm like, if I was just a man, this would be so much easier. But not necessarily either, because I will say there have been opportunities because of the fact that I was a woman. I've had the opportunity. So it's kind of a catch all kind of thing. So you just have to take it with day by day, honestly. And at the end of the day, I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. I know who I am as a person, as a business owner, as a mechanic, yada, yada. So what they say doesn't define me. So if they want to work with me, great. If they don't, that's fine too. I wish you the best of luck, but I'm going to find someone who does believe in me. So that's just kind of how my mentality has been. And it's done well so far. Like I had said, the year after year, it's just another building block. So being able to add those not reputations, but like those experiences under your belt to show what you can and can't do, as well as your it's not reputation. What is the like resume? Sorry, my brain ain't braining. Not enough caffeine. But so just like building that resume over the years is kind of how it flows. But and being able to show and have certain companies be like, hey, she works with so and so. That must be a good fit or something. So it's kind of like that. The industry's small and companies talk. So you'd never want to burn bridges. You just got to take things with a grain of salt and move on. That's really how it is.
And getting involved in the industry by taking vehicles to SEMA, making those acquaintances. Both Annette and I are on select committees for SEMA, and I can tell you when I got on a select committee for ARMO, it was a big difference how people looked at me, how they talked to me. They realized that I was part of the industry, that I supported the industry. And it makes a big difference having those connections and making, it's a big family. I felt more welcomed because of my involvement there, right? And I'm sure you see that from having vehicles at SEMA, and people look at you a little differently, I think.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I really want to say that my true like foot in the door, specifically with SEMA, was from a really good friend of mine, Terry Payne from RDM Builds. I had known him when I went to my first ever truck show and met him, which happened to be Lone Star Throwdown. I don't know what it is about that show, but it makes everybody want to build stuff. But so that was my first ever show I had ever gone to. Met him, and he was, like you had said, family. He refers to me as his niece, and he's just like,
oh, really? Cool.
Oh yeah, like we are tight, and he knows quite a bit of people, and he's been in the industry for over 20 plus years. And so having a really good mentor in that space definitely helped a lot, because when you don't know anybody or you don't have the ties or the connections or the network, it is kind of very difficult to get plugged in. And
No,
so
I agree. That's the same with us, right? Until we
yeah.
got connected with people working within the industry. I guess that's where I was going with that.
Oh yeah.
Was they look at you differently, but you also they go, oh, you need to talk to this person, or this is how you need to think about that, or whatever.
No, he was amazing because he was kind of the one that would introduce me, and then
Yep.
that would start the dialogue. Because then he's like, "Oh, you need to meet so and so," and that's how I got into like the doors, talking with like Catskin and the Pro Cup Challenge people, and just everything on that sense, that I would either be not intimidated, but in a way intimidated by just walking up to someone like the president of Catskin, like, let me just, hi, I'm Chloe, you know? I'm not like that, really, especially being like, well, who the heck is this weird chick? And at the time I had a half shaved head. So that wasn't going for me either. Like, hi, I'm an owner. You know, you should listen to me because XYZ. That's not always the case. So having someone that is like a concrete mentor that knows all these people, make a introduction, helps so much.
It's huge. Yeah.
It's crazy how much that helps.
That's awesome. And you're not wrong. Like, I have been very fortunate in some of the people that we know and work with, and it happens to be our sponsor was just Redline Oil, Mark Beatty. He has been so incredible at introducing me to so many different people within the industry, and just having somebody that you can kind of fall back on to ask questions and like, hey, do you know somebody who does this, or who can, you know, kind of make that soft introduction so that you can at least even kind of get your foot in the door and start that, you know, conversation is huge. Because like you said, people who are owners of very large companies don't always give you the time of the day, not because they're not nice people, but because they're busy, right? Just like you're busy at your work, I'm busy at mine, and so forth. But like, if you don't have somebody who says like, hey, this is somebody you need to talk to, and they've already got an established relationship, they're like, I don't really have time to just chew the fat, right?
Yeah.
So
I dealt with that recently, actually. Well, not recently, but with that GMC build, I dealt with that same problem with the manufacturer of the suspension. So I reached out. It's hard to find a 15-inch lift kit for an independent front suspension system because everybody does Fords. Freaking Fords, man.
I know.
But straight axles are so much easier to do suspension
True.
work on, especially when it's going that high. But trying to find one that's an IFS system that doesn't have that really gaudy, massive cradle in the front. And so trying to find something that was clean looking, but yet was still what she was wanting aesthetically was hard to find. And so there's very limited in the industry. And we reached out to Wicked. They're out of Florida. And I was basically just kind of given, not necessarily the runaround, but like, hey, this is what the price is. And then that was it. Like, I'd ask them questions, but then it was just like closed doors. And again, having people that you know in the industry, when I had said, hey, we're taking this to SEMA, blah, 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 they were just like, well, we only work with 2 people in the industry. And name dropped 2 people that I knew both of. But I was like, okay. So then I reached out to one of them, Truck Guru, which is another Chris Payne. He's amazing. He's very helpful. Hey, I need a Wicked kit. I need help, because he said he'd only work with you. I don't know why, but it is what it is, and I need your help. And so he made the phone call, and 5 minutes later, I get a call. Hey, Chris had vouched for you. And I was like, thank you so much, because Chris was like, dude, I don't think you actually know who this person is. And being serious, like, he needs a live kit. She's not blowing hot air.
Yeah.
So again, having that person that can make a phone call and just pick up the phone and be like, hey, she needs XYZ. The second I talked to Wicked, they were like, okay, I can actually tell that you know what you're doing. just based on the questions that you're asking.
Right.
And so I was like, I try to tell you this, but you don't listen. So it's helpful to have the people that will vouch for you immensely, because something so simple with it that could have been done in 5 minutes
took a long time.
So that's where it was at. But
Right.
it happens all the time. And that was just this past year. So this was like a couple months ago.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter where you are in your business, right? Like having those, what we talked about, like those relationships within the industry is so, so important, no matter what you do or what your, like genre is.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Motorhead Digital. Motorhead Digital are digital marketing experts for your automotive aftermarket, restoration, performance, race, and restyling shop. They help you supercharge your shop's website, social media, and entire online presence to attract those badass customers you're looking for. Check us out at motorheaddigital.com.
I do want to talk a little bit about scaling your business, scaling for success. And are you looking at growing CC Customs? Are you looking to expand? I know it's just you. So like, what does that look like from your business model?
So I'm expanding when my fiance moves in. I'll put him to work. I mean, he works every weekend for me anyways, just helping with whatever I need help with. Right. But honestly, just having 2 extra hands will be a game changer already. And aside from just the shop, being able to have someone that can help create and edit content would be a huge help as well. Because that way, when there's something meticulous and detailed that I have to work on, he could then be editing or filming or something. Because the second I'm doing something and then I have to film it, it doubles the amount of time put into it. And it's so incredibly frustrating for me, especially if I'm trying to like do a walkthrough step-by-step video. And then I'm like either struggling for the camera angle or I'm trying to film it this way and this way for YouTube versus, it's just such a mess. So having just someone else to help with that would be amazing. And so I'm very particular about who I have in the shop. I think it's because I had worked so hard to get where I am now. I don't want to put the hands of that in someone I don't know necessarily. And so I'm always asked, are you ever going to hire help? Are you ever going to need people and other teammates and stuff to come on? And I was like, maybe later on down the road, but for what I'm doing now, not necessarily, because I'm doing what I love already. And then if I can just have help with like the administrative side or the filming side, that will take a lot of load off of me where I can actually still do what I truly do love, which is working.
You'll know when you're ready to, you'll if you come to that point, you'll go, I need to add somebody now because I need to be focused on this or that. Right. But there's so many businesses we've talked to over the years that grew too fast because somebody said, you need to add people, you need to do this and this. And you not necessarily, if you're happy with what you're doing,
No, I'm very happy with what I'm doing. Like I said, a lot of things will change come May when he moves because he actually lives in New Mexico.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He drives every weekend to come and help. But on the weekends, that's when I have heavy lifting help, I call it, because he's the bodybuilder, so he can help move this stuff around. But at the same time, I'm the strong, independent woman. So if I have to move something, I'll use the tools in my shop to do it. But if I can make it a lot easier for myself, I'll just wait. So it's kind of like that, you kind of got to figure that one out. But as far as like wrapping goes and stuff like that, there's a lot of not labor intensive, but time consuming aspects of it, especially because I am very meticulous and particular about every little nook and cranny. Will everyone notice the nook and cranny? No. But I'll know it's there. And so if it's not perfect, I don't want it leaving the shop. And I think because of the attention detail and OCD levels that I have from that, that's why I don't want others in there, because I know they won't pay near as close attention to something like that. So that's one thing I've kind of I don't want to say invested in, but kind of like planted a seed in his mind. And so he knows how meticulous in particular I am about stuff. And so he's like, if this isn't going to pass your quality level, I'm not done until it does. So that's
You're like, honey, I love you, but I will fire you.
Yes. So that's wonderful that he understands that and appreciates that as well. So having someone that's kind of in the like-mindedness of that sense really gives me a lot more like trust and just overall like, okay, I can trust you to do something good, you know?
All right. It's always super helpful to have somebody who has that, like understanding of what your mindset and what your requirement for quality is,
Yes.
right? Because like you said, your name is on it when it goes out of the shop, right? When it's out in the world and everybody's seeing it. So I completely understand that importance and relativity.
Oh, yeah.
I do have a question for you, and you're relatively young. So this question you might have to kind of put a little bit of thought into this, but what would your advice be to younger individuals, female or male, doesn't matter, like coming into their own, right? Coming into their industry, specifically the automotive industry, but coming into their own as to like, what would you say now that you have all this knowledge and experience? What would you recommend for them?
For me particular, I would say just based on my own experiences, if you want to do something, don't let others tell you that you can't. So basically what had happened is right after high school, no, this was back in high school. Scratch that. High school. I wanted to go to the it's not a trade school necessarily, but it's career center. That's what it's called. So I wanted to do something in career center because my favorite class was wood shop in high school. I loved wood shop. I loved being able to use the power tools, build something, make something out of a block of wood. Like to me, I was like, I love this. This is so fun. And so I wanted to go and do the half days at Career Center, but I was told I should do dual enrollment instead and get college credits and do college classes instead. So I did that instead. So I took college classes part-time through high school, didn't do the whole career center thing. And now looking back again, I'm like, what if I had,
Right.
Because then moving to college, again, I didn't know what I wanted to do in life because at that age, you don't know what you want. I'm telling you, you don't. You might think you know it all, but I was ready to join the Air Force. And my parents were like, why don't you go to college wherever in the US you want to go? And I'm like, okay, then I want to go to Texas. Ain't never been to Texas in my life, but I'm going to go there. Why? Because they have rodeo and horses, and that was my thing. So that's why I went to Texas. So we go to Texas, look for a school. I love the school, the small town feel at West Texas A&M and Canyon, just south of Amarillo. Loved it. But again, at that age, you don't know what you want to do. So I just enrolled in something that interested me. So I was interested in the whole horse thing. So I did equine industry and business. Didn't know what I wanted to do with that. Went 2 years in, and that was when I started working on my truck. So at that point, I was like, okay, I really love the whole truck thing. I don't know anything about it, and I'm just tinkering on it, fixing stuff. But the feeling that you get after fixing something that was broken by yourself is like the most empowering thing ever. And
that's huge. It is.
Being able to do it by yourself is just like so freeing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm an independent woman. And so it was that feeling that really just kind of like stuck with me. And I went to my mentor, which was like the counselor, the school counselor that tells you what you should do with your life, basically, and told them, hey, I really think I want to drop out and go to mechanic school. And he told me, no. He's like, you shouldn't do that. And I was like, but I really
I'm going to do it now.
I want to, And he's like, you have 2 years left. Just stick it out. And then if you want to go after, you can. And that was the one time I listened. And I was just like, again, thinking back, how or what would happen in my life differently had I left.
Right.
Had I gone to diesel mechanic school then, would I have never been at the Peterbilt dealership as an intern thing? I don't know. I don't know where I'd be in life. So everything does happen for a reason, and you may not know that reason and that point in your life, but it's also like, okay, sometimes you also have to just listen to your own inner self instead of others around you that think they know the best thing for you, but in reality, is that truly what will make you happy, you know? So I did end up finishing my degree, but it's just hanging on the wall because I don't use it. So it's like, okay, great. I love all this student debt for a piece of paper on the wall, but like I could have put that towards knowledge of what I'm actually going to use now. So it's kind of a balance that you just have to find. But for as far as my younger self goes, in that stage of my life, I think all I really cared about was finding the empowerment kind of thing. Because chasing that feeling of being able to be independent and fix things, that was what I loved. It wasn't necessarily like the actual fixing things, because sometimes busted knuckles hurt, but it's the chasing the adrenaline of what it feels like when you have it finished and completed. You're just like,
and you did it.
The busted knuckles were worth it. Okay. I see where we're going now.
I love it.
It's kind of like that. But even at the dealership, don't get me wrong, there have been times I have cried over stupid things. This last year, I cried over U-bolts at 3 in the morning. It's stupid things like that. But especially when you have the pressure of the tight deadlines for SEMA. But if there's something that you want to do and people don't think that you can do it, prove them wrong. That's the only way I would see about it. If there's something that makes you happy, you need to chase that. And you need to find mentors and people that will support you, because I'm telling you, it's going to get hard and you can't do it all on your own, no matter how strong you are. So reach out to people that are either in the industry or people that you trust and love and know that you think will actually help you. I was very blessed to have 2 parents that are very supportive. They have my mom doesn't know the difference between a wheel and a tire. And the amount of times I have tried to explain, Mom, one is rubber and one is not. But bless that lady, she was helping me do the little stitches in the headliner. Like, she'll help with whatever. My dad was holding a piece of wrap because I can't handle a 10-foot piece of vinyl by myself. It's those people that you need in your life, because without them, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and it is hard. It is. But you just got to trust your gut and just follow your dream, because that's the only way you're going to move along, you know?
Yeah, you talked about everything happening for a reason. You said exactly what I've told many people. I'm a true believer in that, right? But you also have to take risks. And sometimes there's so many millionaires and billionaires out there. If you ask them how many failures they had before they were successful, don't have a fear of failure is what I'm trying to say, right? Go dig into it. If you want to do something, go do it. Don't not do it because, oh, geez, that might not work, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Annette Bauer Creative. At Annette Bauer Creative, we understand the power of visual storytelling in transforming brands and driving growth. From capturing the essence of your products and services to showcasing the unique solutions you offer, our professional imagery and reels help bring your brand to life. Fuel your brand and ignite your vision at AnnetteBauerCreative.com.
Well, we have learned so much about you, and I'm so happy that you came on the show and just helped our listeners understand that it doesn't matter what you want to do. You just got to stick to it, stay stubborn with it, and really pursue your dreams. And I'm super happy to watch you grow from just becoming, like more into the space and flourishing with your business. I love it. I will keep watching. I'm a big fan. But the next thing that we kind of wrap up our podcast with is called our speed round. So as I ask these questions, I don't want you to think too much. I just want you to respond with whatever comes to the top of your head.
Okay.
So first question, what is, and I'm actually going to tweak this one a little bit. What is your favorite truck?
I mean, Gosh, let me narrow it down. Pretty much anything made by Mopar. I'm a diehard Mopar person, Dodge Ram. Gotta go with that. But yeah, I have a 59 Power Wagon. Love that. I have a 4th gen, my 3500 dually. Love that. My 2nd gen was my first truck. So I kind of bleed Mopar.
You're talking, I got 2 Rams right now, a Rebel that we'll talk after about. I got a question about wraps, but we can talk about that later.
Cool.
Next question is, what is your favorite tool in your toolbox?
Oh gosh, that's another hard one. There's so many different ones I love. Gosh, I don't even know. Which one would I use the most? My 10 millimeter. No, but I got it right there, so we're good. I keep it with me everywhere.
I always have it with me.
I think honestly, probably I don't know. I use so many different tools because doing a lot of different things, you need a lot of different stuff. Like when I was on semi trucks, I used sockets that were 1-inch drive.
Right.
And all the way down to 1/4-inch drive. So I have a vast majority of a lot of stuff. I couldn't even tell you which one I use the most probably, but my flex head ratchet is probably my favorite because the one with the lock, you gotta have the lock. I hate it when they're flimsy.
Yes.
So that's probably one of my favorites, honestly.
All right. That's fair. I can completely vouch for that because when they're flexy, it is a real pain in the ass.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite? And I think I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Do you have a favorite, in this case, truck show?
Truck show? I mean, Lone Star Throwdown will always be near and dear to my heart because it was my first ever truck show ever. However, like I had said, I bleed for Mopar. And so there is a show that's actually coming up in a couple weeks here in Fort Worth at the Texas Motor Speedway. And it is called Mopar Heaven or Wham. And it's one of my top 3 favorite shows by far, especially if you're a Mopar person, because they have all Mopar. And
That's awesome.
We love that show because obviously we're Mopar people, but you can drive on the racetrack, like do circle laps on the speedway. You can do the burnout pit. They do high-speed drifting ride-alongs. Like there's so much going on. And then the night before they do like a light show and flame throwing contest with exhaust and audio.
That's cool.
Contest. So it's just so much fun. And again, the coordinators of that show are all within a family. They're absolutely amazing people. It's just one of my top 3 favorite shows. I love that show by far.
Love it.
That's probably my
I love it. So, Barry, have you ever been to Texas Motorplex?
No, I've only been to Texas twice, once to Dallas, and I was just literally came back from San Antonio yesterday.
Right. Yeah. Texas Motorplex it's a pretty cool place. I've been fortunate enough to be there for some of the races that we've been to, but yeah, it's a pretty cool place.
I know it's a big track for NHRA, so
it is. Okay, Chloe, last question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the Motorplex is badass. This one's at the Speedway, and I mixed up my raceways a lot because when I was gonna go to UCC, I ended up getting a hotel at the Indianapolis Speedway, not realizing that our show is at the raceway. And so my mother and I drove in the infield of the Indianapolis Speedway while they were doing practice laps. And I talked my way in saying, hey, yeah, I have a booth. Like, we're here to set up. And they let us in. So now I'm like, yeah, I have a mix up with raceways and speedways ever since that day. And now I'm just trying to keep them straight. So I was like, okay, one's in Enos, one's in Fort Worth, Dallas. That's the only way I can keep them separated.
True. Very true.
Gosh. Yeah.
All right. So this is your last question. This question stumps everybody, so don't feel like you're alone. But So here's the question. What is the best advice you've ever received and from whom?
Best advice? That is a hard one. That's because it depends on the situation, I feel like. It's hard to find just like a generic one, that's like just in life. I feel like one thing that my fiance always tells me, especially when I'm super down, is just be the better version of yourself every day. So whenever I'm feeling down or stressed, which is every day, he's just very supportive in the sense of, I want to help you be better for you,
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was like, so I'm not the best version of myself? You know who I am, especially with the fiance. What do you mean, But
Overthinker.
Oh yeah. Let's find something to fight about. No. But he's very much so the type that's like, I want what's best for you, and I want you to be the best version for you, not for me, but for you. And so that has stuck with me for a long time. And thinking about that every day, it's like, okay, do I want to snooze for another 5 minutes, or do I have to be the best version of me today? There are a lot of choices in life that you have to make. But from that, I'm also very thankful to have the support in my family, as well as who I'm marrying, to be able to have that and push forward towards my dreams, And I think the best advice has definitely been, don't let other people kind of dictate who you are, because at the end of the day, only you know who you are. So what Freddy Krueger says on Facebook doesn't matter, because he doesn't know who you are.
And he doesn't live your life.
Exactly. So that's kind of where it is, where it's just like, it does get hard at times, but you just have to stick to your guns and know who you are as a person, no matter what others say.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, I have learned so much from watching you on social media, and I would be lying if I said there haven't been certain things that you've done where I'm like, I want to learn how to do that. And I've asked my husband, can you teach me? Then so it's really cool for as a female to have somebody else in the industry who is there to inspire and help other women know and feel confident in what they do. And also that, like I said in the beginning, that you break it down so that it's in terms that can be heard and understood. So thank you for what you do and who you are in this space.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure talking to y'all. I feel like I talked at y'all most of the time. I feel bad, but yeah, when I get on a roll, I just don't stop, unfortunately.
We're not here to do all the talking. So, hey, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks, Chloe, for joining us today. One last thing. How can people find you? And how they reach out to you, how they learn more about what you're doing?
So you can reach me on any and all social media platforms as The Cummins Cowgirl. My shop page is CC Customs Builds on Instagram and Facebook. And this year I'm really diving hard into the YouTube platform, because again, I want to try to continue the educational videos, because that's kind of where my focus is kind of leaning towards, because I really love having that like almost big sister feeling. So being able to have that and help others with stuff that they want to do and tinker on, then they have that availability.
Yay. Love it.
Gosh, I'm dying. Sorry.
You're fine. We've all got it going right now, so no worries. Well, thank you again. And thanks everybody for joining Gearheads and Gasoline podcast while we're fueling your success. We know you don't want to miss an episode, so don't forget to smash that bell so that you get notified of every new episode. Click that like button, leave us a comment, and share with your people. And visit us repeatedly. We love it.